In this video, we take a look at the events that took place in the American state of Georgia. Laken Riley was a medical student at Augusta University College of Nursing in Athens. She was 22 years old. On February 22, 2024, she went for a run from which she never returned. Her death occurred on a trail near the university campus and garnered a great deal of media attention. Investigating the case, detectives used surveillance footage to identify and arrest the perpetrator. Laken's death caught the attention of not only the media, but also the president. However, Joe Biden, while speaking out about her death, uttered words for which he later had to apologize. Laken Hope Riley was born on January 10, 2002, in Marietta, Georgia. She was the daughter of Jason Riley and Allison Phillips and had 3 siblings. Laken graduated from River Ridge High School in Woodstock, Georgia, in 2020, where she was an active member of the cross-country team. Her involvement in athletics during high school showcased her commitment to fitness and health. After high school, Laken attended the University of Georgia as an undergraduate student before transferring to Augusta University to pursue a degree in nursing. At Augusta University, she continued her academic journey with a focus on healthcare, reflecting her aspiration to become a nurse. Laken was known for her vibrant personality and dedication to her studies. She received her honorary white coat in August 2023, which symbolized the beginning of her nursing career and her commitment to humanism and compassion in healthcare. Friends and family described her as a beloved daughter and sister who had a bright future ahead. Unfortunately, all of her plans and dreams were shattered. On the morning of the day of her own death, at 8:55 a.m., Laken sent her mother Allison a text message that read, "Good morning. About to go for a run if you're free to talk." A doorbell camera captured the moment Laken left the house. She lived with other female students in a rented house near the university. Laken was very fond of running. Morning jogging was an integral part of her daily routine. At 9:24 a.m., Allison read the message and called her daughter, but there was no answer. At that moment, Allison didn't think anything bad could have happened. She assumed that Laken hadn't answered because she was running. 14 minutes later, Allison texted her daughter, "Call me when you can." Allison continued to try to reach Laken, but the calls went unanswered. At 9:58 a.m., Allison sent another text message that read, "You're making me nervous, not answering when you're out running. Are you okay?" Laken's sister and mother continued to make attempts to reach her, but all were unsuccessful. About 2 more hours passed. At 11:47 a.m., Allison texted, "Please call me, I'm worried sick about you." Subsequent calls, including from Laken's stepfather, also went unanswered. It was obvious that something strange was going on. Laken always kept in touch with her family, and her run could not have lasted more than 3 hours. At 12:05 a.m., the police were informed of Laken's disappearance. Half an hour later, her lifeless body was found in a wooded area near the lake near where she had been jogging. By the time police found Laken's body, her mother and sister were already there. The camera captured the moment Allison was given the worst news of her life.
Okay, let's step over here. Come on, let's go. Come on, all right? I don't want to tell you yes or no because I don't have names. I don't know who anybody is. I didn't know that this is a pretty serious incident.
An autopsy revealed that Laken Riley died from the combined effects of blunt force head trauma and asphyxia. She sustained serious injuries, including multiple blunt force trauma to the head. The investigation into the disappearance was reclassified as a homicide investigation. To find the person responsible for what happened to Laken, police turned to surveillance cameras. On the morning of the day of her own death, at 8:55 a.m., Laken texted her mother, and a doorbell camera captured the moment she left the house. 10 minutes later, at 9:05 a.m., she was captured by the security camera as she ran with her phone in her left hand in the direction where she was later found. She ran out of the camera's field of view at 9:06 a.m. Data from the smartwatch she was wearing showed that her heart stopped at 9:28 a.m. That is, 22 minutes after the camera captured her, Laken died. However, it turned out that Laken had made a 911 call before she died. The call was made 5 minutes after she ran out of the camera's view. The dispatcher who answered the call did not have time to say anything before the call was cut off. Acting on instructions, the 911 dispatcher called Laken's number back himself twice, but no one answered both times.
Hello, this is Clark County 911. Can anyone hear me?
In the initial stages of the investigation, police combed the area around the trail where Laken was found. They interviewed potential witnesses who may have seen or heard something unusual. Several people saw a suspicious male who was also caught on camera. This footage shows the suspect throwing away his own jacket. The footage was recorded 15 minutes after Laken's death. In addition to witness testimony and surveillance footage, forensic analysis played a crucial role in identifying the perpetrator. Investigators collected DNA samples from the crime scene, including from under Laken's fingernails, which indicated that she fought back desperately. The forensic team also examined items found near her body for trace evidence that could link the suspect to the murder. Police quickly found out the name of the man caught on the tape. It was Jose Ibarra, 26 years old. He was from Venezuela and had entered the United States illegally. On September 8, 2022, Customs and Border Protection officials encountered Ibarra after he crossed the U.S.'s southern border with Mexico near El Paso, Texas. He was paroled and released for further processing, officials said. Ibarra first stayed at a migrant shelter and then began moving around the country. Ibarra had been arrested by the New York Police Department on September 14, 2023, and was charged with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 and a motor vehicle license violation. He allegedly had a child on his moped without a helmet. New York officials then released him before a detainer could be issued. From New York City, Jose Ibarra moved to Georgia with his brother Diego Ibarra. A few words should also be said about his brother. According to court documents, Diego Ibarra, 29, has ties to a dangerous Venezuelan gang. Diego Ibarra was arrested for carrying a fake green card that he used to get a job at the University of Georgia. Prosecutors said Diego appeared to have gang ties based on his tattoos, clothing, and use of gang symbols in photos on social media. The gang was described in court docs as being responsible for recent violent confrontations with law enforcement and civilian victims in New York and elsewhere throughout the United States. That allegedly includes a string of violent phone robberies in New York City, where moped-driving members are accused of being those seen dragging victims to the ground to snatch their devices. Ibarra has tattoos linked to the gang, including a 5-point crown on the left side of his neck and a 5-pointed stars on the right side of his neck. Other pictures show him posing with handguns, prosecutors said, a clear violation of the law as he is an undocumented immigrant and is therefore not legally allowed to possess firearms in the U.S. In Georgia, Jose Ibarra lived in an apartment complex about a mile from the wooded area where Laken Riley's body was found. Even before the attack on Laken, he had been arrested for shoplifting at a local Walmart, but was released pending trial. In December 2023, a warrant was issued for his arrest after he failed to appear in court for the theft case. Police could have prevented the Laken attack if Ibarra had been arrested on the outstanding warrant, but no arrest was made. His presence on campus was noted by witnesses who described seeing him in areas frequented by students. In addition, investigators used cell phone data and other digital footprints that established his location near the scene of Laken Riley's death. There was no known connection between Ibarra and Riley, University of Georgia Police Chief Jeff Clark said at a news conference following the murder. This was a crime of opportunity where he saw an individual and bad things happened, Chief Clark said. After gathering enough evidence linking Ibarra to the crime scene, law enforcement arrested him. He had scratches on his hands from the struggle with Laken.
Polícia! Fala, hey! Polícia, vamos!
He said he left them on so John's gonna try and get it off.
Hey, I need you to translate one at a time. Come here. Come to me. Come here.
So we need to back up.
For you. Tell him I need to see his hands. I need to see his hands.
Hey, put the manos arriba.
Tell him to slowly get out. Ask him to get anybody else.
Despacito, de la cama.
That's a match, man. Right? See slowly.
También acá, despacito. Ven para acá. ¿Tienes algo en tus bolsas? ¿Hay alguien más aquí dentro? No.
Ibarra was charged with 1 count of malice murder, 3 counts of felony murder, and 1 count each of kidnapping, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, hindering an emergency telephone call, tampering with evidence, and peeping Tom. On the day of Riley's killing, Ibarra also peered into the window of an apartment in a university housing building, which is the basis for the peeping Tom charge. Laken Riley's funeral was held March 1, 2024. With her departure came sudden and unwanted fame. Many people who'd heard of her knew too little about her life, and too much about her death and its furious aftermath. Those closest to her were understandably reluctant to give interviews. When the world loses someone like Laken, whose light consistently shines so bright, it seems that much darker in their absence, the church's lead pastor, Samir Masad, said in a written statement to the media. Laken was special, he added. She was a gift to anyone who knew her. Smart, kind, compassionate, and thoughtful don't even begin to scratch the surface. She was a loving daughter, sister, and friend. She had a gift for making anyone she was around feel comfortable and seen. In Athens, near the place where Laken made her last run, a wooden sign stood on the shore of Lake Herrick. Someone had used black tape to change the word lake to Laken. Laken Riley's murder and the immigration status of the man charged with it quickly became a rallying cry for some prominent Republicans to blame migrants for crime in America and blast the Biden administration for its handling of the situation at the southern border. Laken Riley's tragic death struck the hearts of Georgians everywhere and has sparked national outrage. Joe Biden's failed policies have turned every state into a border state, and I'm demanding information from him so we can protect our people when the federal government won't, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp said in a post on X at the time. The brutal murderer who took the life of Laken was one of the millions of illegal aliens that the Biden administration simply released and unleashed upon our country. House Speaker Mike Johnson said on X. Donald Trump met with members of Laken Riley's family during his campaign appearance in Georgia. What Joe Biden has done on our border is a crime against humanity and the people of this nation for which he will never be forgiven, Trump charged, alleging that Riley would be alive today if Joe Biden had not willfully and maliciously eviscerated the borders of the United States and set loose thousands and thousands of dangerous criminals into our country. He was an illegal immigrant, and he should not have been in our country, and he never would have gotten into our country if Trump was president, Trump said. In turn, Joe Biden also did not ignore the death of Laken Riley, but he made a mistake in his speech. During the speech, to the loud applause of his supporters, Biden mixed up the name of the victim and instead of Laken said Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal, he added. Note the word illegal in that quote.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals?
Biden does not even know my child's name. It pathetic, Allison Phillips wrote on Facebook. If you are going to say her name, even when forced to do so, at least say the right name, she added. Allison also wrote amen underneath a comment calling 81-year-old Biden a disgrace of a president. Biden later apologized, but not for calling the young woman Lincoln. He apologized for calling Ibarra an illegal. Biden expressed remorse after facing frustration from some in his party for the use of the term to describe people who arrived or are living in the U.S. illegally. I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented, Biden said. Trump, campaigning in Rome, Georgia at the same time, assailed Biden for the comments. Joe Biden went on television and apologized for calling Laken's murderer an illegal, he said to loud jeers and boos. Biden should be apologizing for apologizing to this killer. He contrasted his rhetoric with Biden's. I say he was an illegal alien. He was an illegal immigrant. He was an illegal migrant. And accused Biden, who has long been seen as an empathetic leader, of having no remorse. He's got no regret. He's got no empathy, no compassion, and worst of all, he has no intention of stopping the deadly invasion that stole precious Laken's beautiful American life, Trump said. On May 8, 2024, Ibarra was indicted on 10 counts. He pleaded not guilty to all counts. He was denied bail. His trial was set to begin on November 13th with jury selection, but at a pre-trial hearing, he waived his right to a jury trial and requested a bench trial instead. Members of Laken Riley's family spoke in the courtroom. Laken Riley's mother, Allison Phillips, implored Judge Patrick Haggard to show no mercy in sentencing Jose Ibarra. There is no end to the pain, suffering, and loss that we have experienced or will continue to endure, Allison said during family impact statements in court. This sick, twisted, and evil coward showed no regard for Laken or human life, Allison said. We are asking the same be done to him. Allison described her daughter as smart, hardworking, kind, thoughtful, and most importantly, she was a child of God. She said her daughter took mission trips and cared for the elderly in nursing homes. This monster took away our chances to see Laken graduate from nursing school. He took away our ability to meet our future son-in-law. He destroyed our chances of meeting our grandchildren, and he took my best friend, Riley's mother said, sobbing. Lauren Phillips, Laken Riley's younger sister, said she was accepted to the University of Georgia, but wasn't able to celebrate that achievement with her sister. I had to get accepted into my dream school, the University of Georgia, without my sister telling me how proud of me she is and finally getting to live in the same town together again, she said. She described Riley as her sister, best friend, and role model, and said she will miss her infectious laugh, her smile, and her daily good morning messages. The killing also robbed her of her sense of safety. I cannot walk around my own college campus because I am terrified of people like Jose Ibarra, she said. She called Ibarra a monster and said she had no doubt he was responsible for her death. Laken Riley's stepfather, John Phillips, choked up as he read one of Laken Riley's last journal entries addressed to her future husband. To my future husband, I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be, Laken wrote in part. John Phillips said Laken's journal entry is just a glimpse of what was tragically and brutally taken from her and the family. On Friday, November 15th, his trial finally got underway with prosecutors telling the court how the nursing student fought for her life, fought for her dignity against a man who had gone hunting for women that day. Prosecutor Sheila Ross said that when Ibarra he came across Laken Riley, she fought back. When she refused to be a victim, he bashed her skull in with a rock repeatedly. Defense attorney Dustin Kirby said in his opening that Riley's death was a tragedy and called the evidence in the case graphic and disturbing. But he said there is not sufficient evidence to prove that it was Ibarra and questioned how his fingerprints could be on the phone if he was supposedly wearing gloves. The evidence in this case is very good that Laken Riley was murdered, Kirby said. The evidence that Jose Ibarra killed Laken Riley is circumstantial. Ibarra, who comes from Venezuela and is not a U.S. citizen, has no known connection to the student and no known violent criminal history. Instead, investigators described Laken's death as a crime of opportunity. The prosecutor presented evidence that included Ibarra's DNA under Laken Riley's fingernails and Ibarra's fingerprint on her phone screen. A medical examiner from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation told the court that Laken Riley had injuries that included scratches, bruises, and cuts on her head, neck, torso, abdomen, left arm, and left leg. Prosecutor Sheila Ross said that Ibarra hit Laken in the head with a rock, and that Laken Riley's DNA was found on 2 rocks at the crime scene. The DNA expert also testified that testing showed that a jacket that police recovered from a trash can at Ibarra's apartment complex had a bloodstain on it that tested positive for Laken Riley's DNA, and that Ibarra's DNA was also on it. Ibarra's DNA was also found under the fingernails of Laken Riley's right hand. On November 20th, 2024, Judge Patrick Haggard found Ibarra guilty on all charges and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole, granting the requests of Laken Riley's family and friends. He also sentenced him to a second life sentence and 27 years in prison to be served consecutively. Today, the integrity of our judicial process and the pursuit of justice transcended political considerations, remarked District Attorney Deborah Gonzalez, whose circuit includes Athens-Clarke County. No sentence can undo the harm caused by Jose Ibarra's actions, but we hope it brings justice to Laken's family and the community, she added. Our hearts remain with Laken's family and friends as they continue to grieve this tragic loss. On March 7, 2024, the House of Representatives passed the Laken Riley Act. If enacted, the Laken Riley Act would mandate federal detention of illegal immigrants who commit burglary or theft and would allow states to file suit against the federal government for failing to enforce immigration laws. Riley had just made the Fall Dean's List and received her honorary white coat in August, symbolizing humanism, compassion, and the start of her nurse's journey, the nursing college said in a statement on Facebook. She was set to graduate in 2025. The College of Nursing will miss Laken's spirit on campus, and our hearts go out to her family and friends, the statement said. We know that she would have been a wonderful nurse, and her passing is a loss for the profession and the communities she would have graciously served.